Okay, hi everyone. So let's start with time value of money. ये रिवीजन लेक्चर्स में आर पर्पस इज हमें शॉर्टकट्स एंड सभी कंसेप्ट्स देखने हैं. ओके, सो एम आई ऑडिबल टू एवरीवन? मी एंड द स्क्रीन. Let's wait a few minutes so that everyone joins and then we'll start. Hello. Hi. Yes, good evening, Prem. Okay, let's start then. So time value of money. पहले टाइम वैल्यू ऑफ मनी में हमें स्टार्ट करना है विथ इट्स मीनिंग कि पहले देखते हैं कि टाइम वैल्यू ऑफ मनी होता क्या है. देन हम क्या करेंगे, चैप्टर में क्या क्या है उसकी लिस्ट एक बनाएंगे कि चैप्टर में क्या क्या कंसेप्ट आते हैं एंड क्या क्या टाइप के क्वेश्चंस आ सकते हैं. एंड देन उसके बाद विल स्टार्ट टेकिंग ईच कंसेप्ट वन बाय वन. यस, गुड इवनिंग एवरीवन. ओके, so before starting with anything, before starting with questions, what is time value of money and why time value of money is there? Okay, now understand an example. Ek example lo, suppose you are going to receive rupees 10 lakhs. A friend owes you rupees 10 lakhs. तो ये फ्रेंड है आपका, उससे 10 लाख रुपीज आपको आने हैं, पेएबल है, आपको रिसीवेबल है. फाइन. नाउ इफ द फ्रेंड सेज कि मैं तुम्हें पैसे 2 साल बाद देता हूं, तो विल यू एग्री? मैं ये 10 लाख रुपए तुम्हें 2 साल बाद देता हूं, तो विल यू एग्री? यस, नो? सोचो. बाकी कुछ नहीं बोला, उसने बोला कि 10 लाख मुझे आज देने हैं बट मैं आज नहीं दूंगा, तुम्हें 2 साल बाद दूंगा. तो आपको मतलब आप एग्री करोगे क्या कि ठीक है 2 साल बाद दे दो, चलेगा? नहीं करेंगे, राइट? क्यों नहीं करेंगे एग्री? क्योंकि कुछ फैक्टर्स है जिसके वजह से हम हेजिटेट करेंगे. हेजिटेट मतलब क्या, कि हम नहीं बोलेंगे कि नहीं मुझे अभी पैसे चाहिए, 2 साल बाद नहीं चलेंगे. अज्यूमिंग कि वो क्लोज फ्रेंड नहीं है, सही आपका पहचान वाला है कोई, एंड वो बोलता है कि नहीं मैं तुम्हें 2 साल बाद दूंगा, तो विल नॉट एग्री. क्यों नहीं एग्री करेंगे? कैन एनीवन टेल मी द रीजंस? एक रीजन ऐसा हो सकता है कि एक रिस्क है. क्या रिस्क है? कि वो 2 साल बाद शायद हमें पैसे ही नहीं देगा. दैट इज कॉल्ड एज रिस्क ऑफ डिफॉल्ट. रिस्क ऑफ डिफॉल्ट मतलब क्या? इट माइट हैपन दैट ही विल नॉट पे अस एनीथिंग आफ्टर 2 years. So that risk we are bearing. So that is why we'll tell him that no, I want the money today. Is there any other reason that anyone can tell me? Yes, good evening everyone. I think people are still joining. Is there any other reason that we might ask him to pay right now? Is there also something called as inflation? What is inflation? इकोनॉमिक्स में आपने पढ़ा होगा. इन्फ्लेशन मतलब क्या? जनरल राइज इन प्राइसेस. ओके, जनरल राइज इन प्राइसेस ऑफ गुड्स. जनरल राइज इन प्राइसेस ऑफ गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज ओवर इकोनॉमी. मतलब वो 10 लाख में आज आप जो परचेस कर सकते हो वही चीज 2 साल बाद नहीं परचेस कर पाओगे, राइट? सपोज 10 लाख में हम एक छोटा सा फ्लैट परचेस कर सकते हैं कहीं पे बाहर आउटस्कर्ट्स में, तो 2 साल बाद उसका भी प्राइस 10 लाख ही होगा. ऐसा कंपलसरी है क्या? नो, राइट? बिकॉज इट माइट हैपन कि इन्फ्लेशन की वजह से उसका प्राइस बढ़ जाएगा. सो इन्फ्लेशन माइट बी वन ऑफ द रीजंस कि हम उसको बोलेंगे कि नहीं मुझे ऐसे ही आज ही पैसे चाहिए, 2 साल बाद नहीं चलेंगे. और कोई रीजन आपको पता है? यू कैन टेल मी इन कमेंट्स. और कुछ रीजन हो सकता है क्या कि जिसकी वजह से हम आज ही पैसे मांगेंगे? हैव यू हर्ड ऑफ समथिंग कॉल्ड एज अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट? What is opportunity cost? Opportunity cost means वो जो पैसे 10 लाख है वो उसने अगर आज दिए होते हमें, वो 10 लाख रुपए अगर हमें आज दिए होते तो क्या होता? देखो, अगर 10 लाख रुपए में आज मिलते तो हम आज शायद उनको इन्वेस्ट करते कहीं पे. इन्वेस्ट करके क्या करते? इन्वेस्ट करके हम शायद इंटरेस्ट कमाते उस पर, या फिर कोई बिजनेस स्टार्ट करते और उससे प्रॉफिट कमाते. लेकिन अब 2 साल बाद 10 लाख दिए तो वो इंटरेस्ट या प्रॉफिट हमें मिलेगा ही नहीं. That means it might happen that we'll lose out on interest or profit in those 2 years, that is called as our opportunity cost, that is our benefit forgone. Okay, so this might be one of the reasons that will say no, we want the money today, not after 2 years. Correct. And Akanksha is saying liquidity preference. That is also correct. What is liquidity preference? Understand. Liquidity preference. Understand carefully. Risk of default. Okay. Let's assume that the friend is very good. I mean, he will not default. We are sure कि वो पैसे देगा ही हमें. Let's assume कि inflation भी नहीं है इकोनॉमी में. Let's assume कि there is no inflation. Let's assume हमारे पास कुछ opportunity भी नहीं है. We cannot get interest or returns from anywhere. Still, it is possible that we will want the money today. Why? Because of liquidity preference. What is liquidity preference? It might happen कि हमें आगे पैसे देने हैं किसी को. It might happen that we have to pay to someone. If we have to pay to someone, then we might tell our friend to give the money today, right? Because we have to pay it to someone. So even though first three reasons are not there, still we might demand the money today because of liquidity preference, that is need of the money. We might need the money today for some other reasons. So because of these four reasons, what happens is we will not be ready to let the friend give the money after 2 years. हम क्या बोलेंगे, नहीं हमें आज ही चाहिए, 2 साल बाद नहीं चाहिए. Let's say फिर भी वो फ्रेंड बोलता है, still the friend says, yeah sure, I will, I mean even if I speak in Hindi, I'll translate to English, don't worry. Okay, fine. So even if that friend says that I mean after, in spite of all this, let's say the friend says that no, I cannot pay it today, I will pay it after 2 years only, because it is not possible for me to pay today. Then what will we do? Can anyone tell me? अगर फ्रेंड ने बोला कि नहीं आज पॉसिबल ही नहीं, 2 साल बाद ही दूंगा, I cannot pay today, I can pay only after 2 years, then what should we do? What will we do? What will we tell him? Can I say we might tell him that okay, if you are going to pay after 2 years, then don't pay me 10 lakhs, pay me more. Instead of 10 lakhs, pay me maybe 12 lakhs. Why will we tell him to pay more? Any reason? Because we are bearing all this risk, right? That risk of default is on us. We are losing our opportunity. We are in disadvantage because of inflation, and because of liquidity preference, we could not pay today, right? मतलब हम आज पे कर सकते थे लेकिन नहीं किया हमने, because he did not give us, right? So will it happen that we'll ask him some more money, right? Instead of 10 lakhs, maybe we'll tell him ki 12 lakh do, 12 lakhs, give me 12 lakhs. That difference of 2 lakhs is called as interest. And difference of 2 lakhs comes because of time value of money. Okay. What is time value of money? Understand? What is time value of money then? Can I say whatever 10 lakhs we were going to receive today, if we demand that 10 lakhs after 2 years, I mean if we allow him to pay after 2 years, then what will we tell him? Don't pay us 10 lakhs, pay us 12 lakhs. इसका मतलब क्या? Concentrate very carefully. आज के 10 lakhs, today's 10 lakhs is equivalent to or same as 12 lakhs after 2 years. That is today's 10 lakhs and 2 years after 12 lakhs are at same level. They are not at different levels. Okay. This concept is called as time value of money. So based on this, can anyone tell me कि value of money, does it increase with time or does it decrease with time? Anyone? Value of money जो होता है वो time के साथ, with time, does it increase or does it decrease? What do you think? Anyone? Any answer? I think the comments are a bit behind. Comments थोड़े बाद में आ रहे हैं, तो I'll wait a minute. Let's see if anyone can answer. मतलब मुझे बाद में दिख रहा है. I'm not able to see the comments quickly. Decrease with time. Okay. Anyone else? Increase. Okay. Prem. Decrease. Anyone? Venkat, Praveen? Anything? Decrease. Decrease is the correct answer. Understand, 10 lakhs of today will not be same as 10 lakhs after 2 years, right? Because after 2 years, that 10 lakh is equivalent to 12 lakhs. That means after 2 years, 10 lakhs will be equivalent to even lesser amount today, right? 2 साल बाद का 10 लाख मतलब आज और कम होगा. That means value of money decreases with time. You can take another simple example. Understand carefully. Let's say we are in 1950, okay, or 100 years back. Let's say we are in 1920. In 1920, let's say you have rupees 100 with you. Rupees 100. And today, in 2020, you have rupees 100 with you. Which one is more valuable? 1920's 100 rupees or 2020's 100 rupees? Which one is more valuable? 100 साल पहले के 100 or today's 100? Anyone? Can I say this is more valuable? Because now its value has decreased, right? Its value has decreased with time. It has not increased. Understand? क्यों ऐसा होता है? Why this happens is because of these 4 reasons: risk of default, inflation, opportunity cost, and liquidity preference. That is why value of money decreases. Okay, and that is why we charge that extra amount, which is called as interest. So this was background of the chapter. 1920 is correct. This was background of the chapter, that why we charge interest and what is time value of money. Now let's see what we are going to see in this chapter. Actually हम इस chapter में क्या देखने वाले? This chapter TBM can be classified mainly into some parts. Understand. Simple interest. We are going to see a concept of simple interest. I assume all of you have already studied. This is just revision. Please don't take this as main lecture, because ideally you should have done it at least once, so that we will be able to do it faster. So we are going to see simple interest. We are going to see compound interest. We are going to see something called as a relation between present value and future value. We are going to see a concept called as annuity and perpetuity, and we are going to see applications of this concept in real life. Okay. So let's see what we have to do in each of this. This will be like index of our lectures. Then we'll tick off each one item from this. In simple interest, we'll first see basic questions, basic calculations. Then we'll see sometimes students have problems when period is not given in years. So we'll see if period is not in years, what to do. Then we'll see missing figure questions, when n is missing, I is missing, p is missing. So missing figure questions. Then we'll see doubling or tripling kind of questions. The amount doubles in some years, the amount triples in some years, and so on. Then we'll see some special questions, like from module, whatever different questions are there, we'll see those. Then in compound interest. In compound interest, again we'll see first basic calculations. After basic calculations, in compound interest, most people face problem in compounding frequency. So we'll see how to deal with different compounding frequencies. Then we'll see a problem called as, like, first missing figure. Then we'll see a problem called as, what I call it as, subsequent investments. That is, sometimes they give questions like this. कभी कभी वो ऐसे questions देते हैं, समझ लो, that a person has invested money for 2 years, then invested in 3 years in another scheme or something like that. So subsequent investments. Then we'll see some different questions from module. We'll also see a question, concept of depreciation. Fine. Then we'll combine these two, and we'll see a concept called as effective annual rate. Effective rate. Then we'll see some questions which deal with difference between CI and SI. You might have seen these questions, right? Fine. Let's see rest 3 parts later. First, today let's deal only with simple interest and compound interest. And yes, speed is most important in this chapter. I hope everyone is ready with calculator. Speed is most important in this chapter. Why? Because this chapter comes for 12 to 16 marks in exam. Okay. अगर आपको पता है 12 to 16 marks का chapter है, then you have to prepare well, because if you are able to solve these questions, these 12 to 16 questions, if you are able to solve in just 8 to 10 minutes, then you will be at advantage. क्या advantage होगा? That you will get more time for other questions, maybe statistics questions or maybe APGP or word questions, right? Fine. So let's start with simple interest right now. First, we are going to deal with basic calculations. So I hope everyone knows formula of simple interest. First of all, why do we express everything in percentage? Because that is a convention that interest rate is always expressed in percentage. Interest rate को हमेशा percentage में express करते हैं, right? So generally interest rate is going to be expressed in percentage and for the year. So now simple interest. What is formula of simple interest? P into N into I. You might read it as PTI, PIT, PNR, whatever it is. Okay, it does not matter. Remember it your way. जैसा आपने पढ़ा है वैसा याद रखो. It does not matter. Shortcuts are the ones that you have to study properly. Fine. Where P is what? Principal. Principal means what? Amount invested today. Today's amount. In simple language. N is period. This period is in years. In case of simple interest, we take period in years, and we also take interest rate. I is interest rate for the year, that is per annum, PA. Okay. Since we are taking this in years, this also we take per annum. Fine. I guess there is some lag in comments at my side. Fine. Let me know if you have understood till now, and let me know if everyone is comfortable with this language. Okay, no one should face language issues. जो हिंदी में बोलूंगा, I'll translate in English also. Don't worry. Fine. Let's take some simple questions then. Let's say principal. मतलब principal is today we invested rupees 10,000. Okay. Let's say interest rate that the bank is ready to give us is 8%. And let's say we have invested this for 3 years. Then can anyone tell me what will be simple interest on this? What will be simple interest on this? 10,000 8% 3 years. How will you do it? 10,000 into 8% into 3 years, right? That's all. Is it 2,400 rupees? अब ये 2,400 का मतलब समझ लो. What this 2,400 means? Understand what this 2,400 means. This 2,400 means that on this 10,000 rupees, the bank will give us 2,400 rupees extra. That means at the end of 3 years, the bank will pay us 10,000 plus 2,400, which is 12,400. This 12,400 is called as amount. So amount is what? Value at the end of the period. Value at the end of the period. Okay. How did we calculate this 12,400? Just a second. How did we calculate this 12,400? Principal plus interest, right? Our principal was 10,000 plus our interest is 2,400, which is amount 12,400. This is what we'll receive at the end of the period. Fine. This question was easy. Maybe let's try one or two more easy questions. Maybe you invest rupees 15,000 for 3.5 years at 12% simple interest. Can you calculate simple interest and amount? One or two simple questions let's take, then we'll go to complicated ones. 15,000 into, how will you calculate simple interest? 15,000 P into N is 3.5 in years into 12% simple interest. So 6,300 will be interest amount plus 15,000 will be 21,300 amount. So this is what we'll get extra. This is what we'll get at the end of the period. This is what we have at the beginning of the period. Fine. So this is okay now. These questions, obviously you cannot expect कि एग्जाम में ऐसे क्वेश्चंस आएंगे. You cannot expect such questions in exam, such simple questions. Let's make it a bit complicated. Okay, so basic formula we know now, basic calculations. Let's make it a bit complicated. Let's say you invest rupees 5,000 for, let's say, 17 months. 17 months. Can you tell me if interest rate is 8%, then simple interest will be how much? We have this 8% is always per annum. Remember, interest rate is always expressed in per annum, even if nothing is given. Huh? So let's say we are investing 5,000 in 8% interest scheme for 17 months. Can you try this? Now understand, P is 5,000 that we know, I is 8% that we know, N is 17 months, so we cannot take 17. We have to take it in years. Understand, there are 12 months in a year, so to convert months into years, we have to divide by 12. So we can write 17 by 12 years, right? That will be 1 point something, 1 year plus some part, right? So to convert months into years, we'll divide by 12, obviously, because there are 12 months in a year. So how much will this be? 5,000 into 8% into 17 by, 5,000 into 8% into 17 by 12. That is 566.6 recurring. Check whether everyone got this. Fine. That means amount will be 5,000 plus 566, which is 5566.6. Okay. Let's make it even more complicated. Let's say we have invested rupees 16,000 for 3 years and 2 months at 25%. 3 years and 2 months at 25%. Now can you tell me what will be simple interest? Can everyone try? Take a minute to try first. 3 years and 2 months. Do it carefully. You have to do it on calculator mostly. Don't write. Okay, I am writing because you will understand. You should not write. ऐसी चीजें लिखो मत. You have to do it in your mind and calculator. Nothing else. You have calculator. Use it. So we have invested 16,000 for 3 years and 2 months at 25% simple interest. Now 3 years and 2 months, we have to convert that to years. We know that it is 16,000 into 25% into something, right? So how will we do that? 3 years and 2 months. Understand? First, let's convert everything to months and then let's divide it by 12. Because we know 12 months means 1 year. So let's convert everything to months, which is very easy. Because 3 years is how many months? 3 into 12, 36 months. Plus 2 months, that is there are total 38 months. So 38 months divided by 12, that will be 38 by 12 years, right? So we can multiply this now directly. 16,000 into 25% into 38 by 12, that is 12,666.6 recurring. Why is the amount high? 16,000 into 25% into 38 by 12. 12,666. The amount is high because interest rate be 25% hai. So this will be the answer for the question. Let's see what will happen if it is given in days. Let's say we have invested rupees 20,000 for, now concentrate carefully, let's say 2 years and 73 days. We have invested the amount for 2 years and 73 days. Let's see what happens. Those answers are correct. 12,666. Rishura, I think you missed 16 there. It is not 1266, right? It is 12,666. Fine. So now we have to calculate simple interest, which will be 20,000. I hope this is not lagging, right? So 20,000 into let's say interest rate is 10%, so into 10%, into how do we do now? Understand carefully. 2 years and 73 days. Let's convert everything to days. and then divide by 365 because we know एक साल में 365 days होता है. There are 365 days in a year. So 2 years is how many days? 2 into 365, that is 730 days. 2 years means 2 into 365, 730 days, plus we have 73 days. That means 803 days. So it is 803 days divided by, now we have to convert it to years. So to convert it to years, now we'll have to divide by 365, right? Because there are 365 days in a year. So it will be 20,000 into 10% into 803 divided by 365. That is 4,400 rupees. Correct. Very good. 4,400 is correct. Very good. Fine. So this calculation is very important. Why? Because most of the times students do silly mistake in this calculation. Because simple interest is not something where you should make mistake. If you are making mistake in simple interest, that means you have not studied well, right? So don't do mistake in simple interest. Do it carefully. 440 Rishuraj, I think you forgot a zero again. Don't do that. In exam that will not work. ऐसे zero भूल के नहीं चलेगा exam में वापस. Fine. Vishwaj is also forgot 1 0. Okay. Next. So fine. I hope everyone has understood how to convert period in years if it is not given. That is fine. So we have to convert everything to years. Let's take one more complicated example, then we'll go to next concept. Let's say principal is 5,000. N is 1 year, 5 months and 2 days. 1 year, 5 months and 2 days. Then I is 15%. So can you try to find SI? First try by yourself. Assume that in 1 year there are 365 days. Assume that in 1 month there are 30 days. Assume karo. So simple interest will be 5,000 into 15% into, now we have to convert everything to days. But how will we do that? Understand carefully. 1 year, that means 365 days. So 1 into 365, let's add it to memory, m plus. Then 5 months means 5 into 30 days, m plus 150 days. Then 2 days, m plus. So MRC will give us total of 517 days. To convert days to years, we'll have to divide by 365. So let's check how much it is. 5,000 into 15% into 517 divided by 365. That is 1062.32. That should be the answer. Check how many of you have got this. Fine. I think comments are a bit behind for me. Okay, थोड़े से lag हो रहा है comments. That is correct. Venkat Misbah, that is correct. 1062.32. 517 days, correct. Good. So be sure of this calculation. Never get confused in calculation of days. Okay, otherwise simple interest is very easy. Fine. Now let's take some missing figure questions. Missing figure. Missing figure means what? One thing is missing, everything else is given, you have to calculate. That is again not that difficult for simple interest. Let's try it. Let's say our principal is 4,000 rupees. Let's say our interest rate is 12%. Let's say period is not given to us, but we know that simple interest is 240 rupees. Can you try to calculate N? Very simple, right? We know that SI is equal to PNI. Please do not write the answer. You should not write this. Do it in your mind and on calculator. You know that 240 is equal to PNI. You don't know N, right? So take everything here. 240 divided by P divided by I. That will give you N, right? So we can take this here and we can take this here as division, right? So it will be 240 divided by principal is 4,000 divided by interest rate is 12%. That should give us N as 0.5. 0.5 means 0.5 years, right? That means half year or 6 months. So period should be 6 months. Check how many of you got it correct. 2 years, no. 0.5 is half year, right? Half year means 0.5 means half year, that means 6 months. So that should be the answer. Check whether everyone has got this. or if you have understood this. Let's try similar one then. Let's say P is given as 5,000, I is given as 15%, N is not given again, and let's say simple interest is given as, let me make the question, 1125. Now try to calculate period. Try to calculate period. Try to do it on calculator without writing anything. It should be 5,000. Simple interest is 1125 divided by principal 5,000 divided by interest 15%. That should give us how much? N as 1.5 years. Check. 1.5 years means what? 1 year plus 0.5 years. Now if you want to convert it to months, we know that it is 1 year and 6 months, but still if we want to convert it, how do we convert it? It is 1 year plus 0.5 into 12. To convert months to years, we divided by 12. So to convert years to months, let's multiply it by 12. So that means 1 year and 6 months. This was easy, but it might be confusing in some cases. That is correct. 1.5 years does not mean 1 year 5 months, 1 year 6 months. Fine. So here N was missing. Now let's make something else missing. Fine. So correct, good, 1.5. Let's see, our principal is 10,000. Period is 5.25 years. We don't know interest rate, but we know that our amount is, let's say, 13,150 rupees. Can you try to calculate interest rate I? Try to calculate I, interest rate. How will we do it? We know that amount is principal plus simple interest, right? So we know principal, so let's subtract it from here. So we'll know that simple interest is equal to 3150 rupees. So if simple interest is 3150, we know it is P and I. We have P, we have N, we don't have I. So let's try it. 3150 divided by P 10,000 divided by N 5.25. That gives us I is equal to 0.06. 0.06 means if we do it into 100, that means 6%, right? 6 by 100. Get used to writing interest rate like this. Ideally, you should always write interest rate like this. This helps because in annuity we are going to use it, in compound interest we are going to use it. So if I is missing, we know what to do. Next, fourth, let's make principal itself missing. Let's say we don't know principal. We have interest rate as 15%. We have period as 8 months. And we have simple interest. Oh no, let's say we have amount as maybe 8,500. No, let's take 8,800. Now can you try to calculate principal? Let's try to put it in formula. Amount is principal plus simple interest. We don't know simple interest, we don't know principal, but fine. That means 8,800 is equal to principal plus P and I. We know N also, I also, so now that is easy. Let's try it. 8,800 is equal to, we can take P common. If we take P common, it will be 1 plus Ni. N is what? 8, but not 8. 8 is months. We have to take 8 by 12 years into I is how much? 15%. So let's solve this. 8 by 12 into 15% plus 1. On calculator, always be confident or always be fast. Think quickly. How do you solve this on calculator? You should not take 1 plus something, that will take too much time, right? Take 8 by 12 into 15%, then plus 1, right? So 8 by 12 into 15% plus 1. That gives us 1.099999. This we have to divide here. How do we divide? Add it to memory, M plus. Then 8,800 divided by MRC. That should give us 8,000 as principal. If anyone wants me to repeat calculations on calculator, understand carefully. 8 by 12 into 15% plus 1, that is 1.0999, that is this bracket, okay, that is this entire bracket, 1.0999. Now understand what we have to do is we have to divide 1.0999 here. How do we divide on calculator? Add it to memory, then type this, then type numerator 8800, then divide it by memory. Memory means MRC, divided by MRC. If you press equal to, you should get 8000, which is principal, which is correct. Check whether everyone has got 8000, it is correct. So here principal was missing, which is again simple. Fine. Let's take one more missing figure question where two figures are missing. Understand. Let's say we don't know principal, but we know that if n is equal to 2 and I is equal to or let's say I is also not given, if n is equal to 2, then simple interest is equal to, let's say, 2000. And if n is equal to 5, then simple interest is equal to, let's say, 5000. So let's try to calculate what is missing, P also and I also. Let's see what will be P and I. Such questions are also there. Now understand, in exam, in module, we'll always try to go by options, because if we go by options, it will be simple, quicker. But let's do that when we go to module. Right now, अभी कैसे करते हैं? अभी solve करके करते हैं. That will also be fast. If n is 2, then SI is 2000. SI is 2000. Its formula is P into n, which is 2, into I, which we don't know. And 5000 is equal to P into n, which is 5 into I. Fine. So what can we do? Understand? Can I say from this P into I is 1000, right? If only this much information is given, we can find only P and I. P and I के separately values नहीं है सकते, we can only get PI. Now let's say amount given to us. Let's say let's say options are given to us where P is also given, I is also given. Can we check for which option PI is 1000? That will be our answer, right? Because only P and I we can find here. So from options, check what is P, what is I, multiply it, get the answer, right? So in such kind of questions, you should always try to go by options. Obviously, if you don't have options, you'll have to solve like this, but we have options generally, right? We'll go by options only. Such missing figure questions are also easy for simple interest. For simple interest, in fact, all questions are easy. Don't expect such questions in exam. These are some different questions, doubling and tripling. Let's try those. They give something like this. An amount doubles in 5 years at some simple interest rate. When will it triple? When will it triple? An amount doubles in 5 years at some simple interest rate. When will it triple? How do we do that? There is a shortcut also which I'll tell later. But first, always assume the amount is 100. That is always easy. They are saying that the amount doubles in 5 years. That means after 5 years, this is our principal, 2 days. After 5 years, amount will become 200. It will double. That means difference between these two, which is simple interest, is 100. We know simple interest is P N I. So we know 100 is equal to principal, which is 100, into N, which is 5 years, into I. So we can get I from this. How much is I? Calculate. Is it 20%? Yes, we have to go by options. Where possible, we'll go by options only. In such questions, where possible, we'll go by options only. Not this, in this missing figure type of questions. But right now options are not there, so we had to solve. When we go to exercise, we'll see how to go by options. Fine. So I is 20%, 0.2. So they're asking, when will it triple? When will it triple? That means now if principal is 100, amount should become 300, right? That means simple interest will be what? 200 rupees, which will be P into N into I. Now we know I, but we don't know N. So you can find N now. 200 divided by 100 divided by 20%, which is 10 years. Check whether everyone's got 10 years. Now there is a shortcut for this. I mean, it is just by rearranging this formula. If you want, you can remember it. If you don't, this is also fast. This is not slow, this is fast. I am explaining, that is why it took so much time. An amount doubles in 5 years. If the question is of simple interest, and they are saying amount doubles in, let's say, n years, then understand that interest rate will be 100 by n. Okay, interest rate will be 100 by n. Okay, understand this, Suraj? An amount doubles in 5. Okay, I'll explain that way again, no issues. An amount doubles in 5 years. If they say that, and it is simple interest question, then you can directly get period. Then you can directly get interest rate by doing 100 by n. Check, 100 by 5 is 20, right? So that 20 is our I, 20%. So you can always do 100 by n, that will give you the answer. Then you can get this I, 20%, and from that, how you can calculate is, now the amount needs to be tripled. So if principal is 100, amount should be 300. That means the difference, which is simple interest, should be 200. 200 is principal into n, which we have to find out now. In how much time it will triple, they are asking, right? Into I, which we already calculated. So if we rearrange, n will be 200 by 100 and 20% also. Let me give you another question. Concentrate. If it is confusing, let's try another question with same two methods. An amount doubles in 20 years. When will it become 8 times? Concentrate very carefully now. Again, an amount doubles in 20 years. First, normal way. Let's assume principal as 100. That means amount doubles in 20 years. Doubles means amount is 200 and period is 20 years. Right? We don't know interest rate, but let's find out interest rate. Amount is 200, principal is 100. That means simple interest is 100. Simple interest is P, which is 100 into N, which is 20 into I. So we can get I from this. I is how much? 100 by 20. Is it 0.05, which is 5%? Rishuraj and Misbah, tell me if you've understood till this. Then they're asking, when will it become 8 times? When will it become 8 times means, now if principal is 100, now we want when, that means we want to find period when amount will become 8 times means 800. But now we know interest rate, which is 5%. So now it is again simple. What is A minus P simple interest? 700 rupees, which is equal to principal into N into 5%. So now we can find N directly. No issues. 100 is just an assumption. If you want, instead of 100, you can also take 1250 rupees, whatever you want. Okay, whatever figure you like, you can take it. Answer will be same. So 700 divided by 100 divided by 5%. Is it 140 years? Check. 140 years is the correct answer. Again, the shortcut which I told you, they are saying an amount doubles in 20 years. So to find interest rate, directly do 100 by 20. That will give you 5. So interest rate is 5%. Okay. This works obviously only for simple interest, not for compound interest. But this is a good trick to remember if you want. Fine. 140 years is correct. Misbah forgot a 0. Wapas. Acha. 40 and 0. Fine. 14 and 0. Okay. So these kind of questions are also there in book or exam also. So let's call them as doubling, tripling questions. Fine. Now we can go to some actual questions from module, because simple interest is only this much. Simple interest is done. There is nothing else in simple interest. But before going to questions from module, let me give you a question which is a bit difficult one. Let's see if anyone can find the answer. Understood? Good. Let's see if anyone can find the answer. A person invests rupees, let's say 15,860 for his sons A, B and C for 2 years, 3 years and 4 years respectively. That means what? A will get the amount after 2 years, B will get the amount after 3 years, C will get the amount after 4 years. Total amount is 15,860. Some of it is invested for A, some of it for B, some of it for C. The investment is such that A, B and C will get equal amounts. A, B and C will get equal amounts. They are saying A, B and C will get equal amounts. Okay. Find amounts received by A, B and C. Can you try this? I'll wait for 2 minutes. Till this video catches up with comments, I'll wait. Let's see if anyone can give the answer. Then we'll try. Interest rate is, let's say 5%. Simple interest, obviously. Simple interest rate is 5%. Try it. Let's see if anyone can get the answer. I'll also do it simultaneously. A person invests 15,860 for his sons for 2 years, 3 years and 4 years respectively. The investment is such that A, B, C will get equal amounts. Sure, I'll wait. I'll wait 2-3 minutes, no issues. Let's see if anyone can get the answer. But fast. अब तक आना चाहिए था. Try. Really? करो fast. Okay, no issues. करो, try. Okay, let me explain. He is investing 15,860. Let's say he has invested A rupees, B rupees and C rupees for A, B and C. 2379 is what, Rishuraj? You can also mention that in comments. Fine. So A, B and C, let's assume we have given rupees A, rupees B and rupees C. Now let's say of this 15,860, rupees A are kept for 2 years, right? Rupees B are kept for 3 years. Rupees C are kept for 4 years. Can I say this is principal, this is N period and this is interest rate, which is 5% in every case? So we can calculate simple interest on each amount. 2 years into 5% into A. What is 2 years into 5%? 0.1. So it will be 0.1 A. For B, it will be 3 years into 5%, which is 0.15 B. And this will be 0.2 C. That is simple interest. We know that amount is principal plus simple interest. So let's add principal and simple interest. A plus 0.1a, that means 1.1a. B plus 0.15b, that means 1.15b. C plus 0.2c, that means 1.2c. Now we have got amounts of every person, and they're saying that the investment is such that A, B, and C will get equal amounts. That means these amounts are equal, right? That means 1.1A is equal to 1.15B is equal to 1.2C. Now we can solve it. Now we can find what is ABC. How can we find it? Understand carefully. Let's find ratio between ABC first. How do we find ratio? We know that 1.1A is equal to 1.15B. That means A upon B is equal to 1.15 upon 1.1. A by B is equal to 1.15 on 1.1. Similarly, we know that 1.15B is equal to 1.2C. That means B upon C will be what? 1.2 divided by 1.15. So we have A is to B, we have B is to C. We have to find combined ratio. I hope everyone remembers calculation of combined ratio from first chapter. Let's write ABC. Ratio of AB is 1.15 is to 1.1. Ratio of BC is 1.2 is to 1.15. Correct. Let's combine this. How do we combine this? Multiply the common number 1.1 into 1.2, 1.32. Then cross multiply everything else. 1.15 into 1.2, that is 1.38, and cross multiply this 1.15 into 1.1, that is 1.265. So ratio of A is to B is to C is this, and we know that total amount is 15,860. So let's divide 15,860 in this ratio. 130. If you multiply everything by 1000, it will be 1380 is to 1320 is to 1265, or keep it like that, does not matter. So how do we divide? 1380 plus 1320 plus 1265, that is 3965. So 15,860 divided by 3965 multiplied by 1380, that is 5520 rupees. That answer is 5280 rupees, and that answer is, third answer is 5060 rupees. The question was a bit complicated. Think about it carefully. Think, and then tell me if you have understood it. Think, look at it carefully first. What we did? We calculated interest, then we calculated amount. How come that B is 1.2? Understand? Then we got this ratio. Then what we did? We took this A and B separately, and then we formed a ratio from that. A by B is equal to 1.15 upon 1.1. We got this ratio. Then we took this B and C separately. Then we got this ratio. B by C is equal to 1.2 upon 1.15. Right? That means we have a combined ratio now. A is to B is this, 1.15 is to 1.1, and B is to C is 1.2 is to 1.15. So then we can combine those ratios. When we combine those ratios, we get this combined ratio. And then all we have to do is 15,860 को हमें divide करना है. We have to divide this over these three values. Okay. Let me know if everyone has understood this. So the question was a bit complicated, but if you do it carefully, then it is not that complicated. Concepts ratios के use करने पड़ेंगे आपको. You'll have to use ratio concepts. That's all. Other than that, it is fairly simple. Misbah, have you understood why that B is 1.2? B by C. Because we know that this was the relation, right? 1.15 B is equal to 1.2 C. So B by C is equal to 1.2 by 1.15. Good. Fine. Let me know in comments if you have understood. Then let's proceed. Now we will solve some questions from module, but let's solve them at the time of compound interest. Right now, let's go to compound interest. Then we'll come back to both. Misbah, no, it is not 1.15 upon 1.2. Understand? When we rearrange this, when we take C as division here, we have to take 1.15 in division here, right? So it will be 1.2 by 1.15. Can you please explain what? Which point? Tell me, I'll explain it. I'll come back to that then. Because the problem is I'm a bit behind in comments. Fine. I hope you have understood this ratio. If not, let me know. Now let's go to compound interest. Compound interest means what? Now ideally, when we keep money in bank में पैसे रखे तो and bank keeps it for 2 years, let's say bank keeps it for 2 years. We kept 10,000 rupees at 10% for 2 years. Simple interest. We will get how much rupees at the end of 2 years? 10,000 into 10% into 2. 2,000 will be the simple interest. Correct? And the amount that we'll get is 10,000 plus 2,000, which is 12,000. But then we are CA students, right? We are CA students. We can do some life hacks. We know some things that they don't. What we can do is we'll keep 1,000 only for 1 year. We'll keep 10,000 only for 1 year at 10%. Why? Let's see why. For 1 year we'll get how much interest? Our interest will be 1,000 only, and our amount will be 11,000. Right? Now what we'll do is, after 1 year is over, we'll take back 11,000. We'll again give back 11,000. Okay? बैंक से लेंगे, बैंक को ही देंगे. वापस invest करो. Right? We'll say again, invest it again. Now our new principal will be 11,000. Right? At 10% for again 1 year, second year. Right? Now we'll get simple interest of 1100. Now our amount will be 11,000 plus 1100, which is 12,100. That means when we did it this way, we got more amount. Here we were getting less amount, right? Why? Because in this second case, we charged interest on interest. When we charged interest on interest, that means we got some more amount because हमें थोड़ा सा extra interest मिला interest पे. That is called as compound interest. Now understand, banks also know this, right? Banks में भी chartered accountants होते हैं. Obviously, banks also know this कि people will do this. That is why in practical life, in real life, most of the interest rates are already quoted in terms of compound interest. That is, this process that we are doing. What did we do? We took out the money after 1 year and then we gave it back. Banks will do this process by themselves. What will banks do? Banks will add interest and then banks will add interest on that interest. That is called as compound interest. Now we'll not see how the formula is derived. We have already we already covered that in regular batch, right? But right now it is revision. Let's only focus on formulas. Under compound interest, the basic formula is not for compound interest. The formula is for amount. What is formula of amount under compound interest? It is P, principal, into 1 plus I raised to n. This formula can be derived using Tn of Gp. But fine, we know the formula is amount is equal to principal into 1 plus I raised to n. Where A is amount, that we know. P is principal, that we know. I is not interest rate per annum. I is interest rate per compounding period. And n is also not number of years. N is number of compounding periods. What does it mean? Understand. ये प्रोसेस हमने क्या किया? Yearly किया. We did this process yearly. Means what? We kept the money for 1 year, then we took it back, then we gave it again. Can you think of any better way for this? Can we, instead of doing it yearly, can we do it 6 monthly? After 6 months we went, took our money, gave it back. Again after 6 months we went, took our money, gave it back. We did it every 6 months. In that way, we'll get even more money, right? If we do it every 3 months, quarterly, we'll get even more money. If we do it monthly, we'll get even more amount. If we do it daily, so obviously we'll get even more amount. That is called as compounding frequency. Compounding frequency means what? Compounding frequency means what? How often interest is added? How often interest is added to principal? Okay. Compounding frequency is how often interest is added to principal. Now let's see a practical question on this so that you'll understand the meaning of these terms. Please remember this formula is for amount. If we want compound interest, then we have to do amount minus principal. The difference between amount minus principal is interest, right? Fine. So let's see what we can do now. Simple questions first. Principal is 10,000. Interest rate is 12%. N is 4 years. Compounding frequency is half yearly. Compounding frequency is half yearly. We have to find amount. Now look at this very carefully. Many students are confused in this. Concentrate. Principal is 10,000. Okay. I is 12% per annum. We don't want it per annum. We want it per compounding period. What is our compounding period? Half yearly. Means half year is our compounding period. Every half year we start compounding, right? Now remember, now tell me, if 12% is for a year, then what is half yearly interest rate? If 12% is for a year, then for half year, can I say interest rate is 6%, which is 0.06. Half year interest rate we have to take because compounding frequency is also half yearly. N is 4 years, but we cannot take 4 years. We have to take number of compounding periods. Compounding frequency is half yearly. How many half years are there in 4 years? 4 साल में कितने half years होते हैं? How many half years are there in 4 years? Tell me, in 1 year, can I say there are 2 half years? Right? 2 half years means what? 6 months. So in 4 years, can I say there will be 8 half years? So our N is 8. 8, correct. So now we can find amount, which is P into 1 plus I, that is 1 plus 0.06, that is 1.06, raised to N, which is 8. Do it on calculator. I hope everyone knows how to raise on calculator. How do we do 1.06 raised to 8? If anyone does not know, concentrate. 1.06, then into, and then equal to 7 times, because this is 8, so n minus 1 times. Again 1.06, एक बार into, one time into, and then equal to 7 times. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Then multiplied by 10,000 and tell me how much is the amount. It should be 15,938.48 rupees. 15,938.48 rupees. Good. Check whether everyone has got this. So our compound interest will be the difference between principal and amount, which is 5,938.48 rupees. Fine, good. So always remember conversion of I and N. If you forget that, you will get the answer wrong. Let's try one more. Principal is 8,000. N is 3 years. I is 6.25% per annum. And compounding frequency is quarterly. Quarterly means 4 times in a year. Every 3 months. Let's try A. A is equal to P into 1 plus I. Now this is per annum interest rate. We want quarterly interest rate. There are 4 quarters in a year. So 6.25 divided by 4 करना पड़ेगा. 6.25 divided by 4. That is 1.5625%, which is 0.015625 for quarter. For a quarter. n is 3 years, but 1 year has 4 quarters. That means 3 years have 12 quarters, right? So now we can solve it. 8,000 is equal to 1.015625 raised to 12. So 1.015625 raised to 12. How do we do raised to 12? Into and then equal to 11 times. Multiplied by 8,000. Check whether everyone is getting 9635.86. That is the amount. That means compound interest will be 9635 minus 8,000, which is 1635.86. Let me know if everyone has understood this. Good. If yes, then let me give you a more complicated question now. Let's see how many of you are able to solve it. Complicated one. Good, the answer is correct. Let's say principal is 10,000. N is 3 years. I is, let's say, 18%, and compounding frequency is daily, and you have to assume 360 days in a year, not 365. Assume 360 days in a year. Let's see how many of you can find amount. Take a minute. Compounding frequency is daily. We are compounding daily, not monthly, not quarterly, not yearly, daily. So try. Revise N and I first, then you can solve. Let's see. N is 3 years. We have to convert it not to years. We want N is number of compounding periods, that is number of days. In 3 years, how many days will be there? 360 into 3, that is 1080. That will be N. I is 18%, but 18% is per annum. We don't want per annum, we want per day. For per day, we'll have to divide it by 360. So 18 divided by 360 is how much? 0.05%. 0.05% means what? 0.05 divided by 100. That is 0.0005. 0005. How will we raise 1080? Okay, let's see. So A will be P into 1 plus I raised to N. Does everyone have doubt that how will we raise 1080 time? Let me know. How to do on calculator? Okay. Altaf, you've got an answer. Okay, we'll check. Let me note it down somewhere. 17157.7. We'll check. Those who are asking how to do on calculator, I hope, maybe, shayad, we have studied indices, right? Shayad you have studied indices, maybe. In indices we have some rules. 1.0005. We can write that 1080 as 2 into something, or that 1080 was 3 into 360, right? That is how we got it first of all. 3 into 360 was 1080. Fine. But then that 360 also we can write as, maybe, let's try to split that. That 360 we can write as 3 into 120, right? But then that means this 360, let me write 3 into 120 instead of that. but then that 120 we can write as 3 into 40, but then that 40 we can write as 2 into 20, but then that 20 can be written as 2 into 10, but then that 10 can be written as 2 into 5, right? Check once, verify once, cross verify. If that 3 3 3 2 2 2 5, if that comes to 1080, correct. What is the use of this? Why did we do this? Time pass करिए क्या? We can maybe there was a rule in indices which says that is equal to 1.0005 raised to 3 bracket raised to 3 bracket raised to 3 bracket square bracket square bracket square bracket raised to 5, right? There is a rule which says that a raised to m bracket raised to n is a raised to m into n. 12 times root. That is also a good way, but let's see what happens if we do 12 times root. Let's see later. First let's do this. So 10,000, to know how to do that, let's take 1.0005 on calculator. Let's take cube of it, raised to 3. How do we take cube? Into and 2 times equal to. That gives us 1.0015 something. Then again its cube means into and 2 bar equal to. Into and 2 times equal to. Again its cube means again into equal to equal to. Its square means into equal to. Its square means again into equal to. Again its square means into equal to. Again raised to 5 means into and equal to 4 times. That gives us 1.71577. So 17,157.7, which all of you are getting, is correct. Now that is correct. Instead of doing all this, we could have done something else, right? We don't need to go to this because we have a shortcut, 12 times root. Let's see what 12 times root method says. I hope everyone remembers 12 times root method. How can we do this using 12 times root method? We want 10,000 into 1.0005 raised to 1080. Let's take 1.0005 and let's press square root 12 times. Then subtract 1. Then multiply by power. Power is 1080. Then add 1. Then press into equal to 12 times in pair, into equal to 1, into equal to 2, into equal to 3, 12 times. So 1, 2, 3. That gives us 1.71569, which is close to this, right? Not accurate, but still close, and that is better, right? That is okay. We don't want to fight for 2-3 rupees difference, right? So answer will be 17,156 under this, whereas our actual answer was 17,157. Fine, does it matter? Does 1 rupee difference matter? No, right? So obviously 12 times root is the best method. However, understand the concept also. Is this clear to everyone? Let me know if yes. So I will stop for today. We'll cover remaining part of compound interest tomorrow, and then we'll start with PV, FV and annuity, which is the most important part of the chapter. Compound interest will not take much time now. Just let me know if any doubt up to this point. If not, then let's stop for today. Tomorrow we'll meet at same time, 9 p.m. and we'll go to next parts. Remember this, like index of the chapter. So tomorrow we'll finish CI, then we'll go to PV, FV and annuity. Okay, good. So let's stop here for today. Okay, bye everyone. Tomorrow again Hinam's lecture will be there at 7:30. Rectification. The link is in description of this video, and then our lecture will be at 9. Okay. Yes. Bye everyone. Yes, bye.